It's rather sad when you hear about teenagers engaged in violence, or there is a person who was ragged so much in the college that he was forced to commit suicide. You're hearing of children who are just about entering adolescence and puberty committing crimes like rape, theft, cyber crimes. It is really sad when the number of suicides are going up and so many other challenges. But why do children have bad behaviors? And it's a very important question that needs to be asked. Many blame social media, others blame movies, still others blame the peer pressure, and many others blame the way the society is. In India, there is a very common thing that we blame, which is westernization of behavior. But ultimately, the real truth of all this is if there is a child who behaves brilliantly, it's highly likely the hard work of parents or parent like people. And if there is a child who has deviant, erroneous, bad behaviors, then somewhere the parenting is where that challenge came from. This is a truth that we need to face. Even today, if many of us start making our corrections in next 5-10 years, children will have a better life. What we need to understand is that the bad behaviors that we ignore at 5, at 15, they really become problematic behaviors. At 25, they become exceptionally antisocial or destructive behaviors. Or when there is a certain deviance or deviation in behavior at the age of 5, it becomes defiance at the age of 15, and it completely becomes an entitlement at the age of 25 and above, and it's an in-the-face behavior. So remember those stages of behavior. If your child in the age group of 5 to 10 has not been corrected, has not been taught the right values, if he or she has not been taught how to adjust, how to be a likable human being, how to be a successful human being, he or she is going to grow up and do nonsense. But that will only be prevented if parents make time for their children. And it's a very important thing. And in the last about 25-30 years of life, especially in a country like India, we have gotten so busy with minting our fortunes, securing the financial freedom of our families, that we have forgotten that we created the family and the family is our responsibility. And parenting is one of those big things. If you could not take care of the child, why did we bring that child in? And to leave the child at the mercy of the creches and the schools and the society. Way too many parents are blaming the school and the teacher for bad behaviors, or preventing them from making friends because they think that they're going to have bad behaviors. But invariably, children have bad behaviors because parents are not spending enough time in correcting them and teaching them the right things. So for us, it's very important to understand that number one, the worst thing that we can do is us as parents having bad behaviors. So if we are indisciplined, if we lie, if we get angry, we scream, we yell, we are indisciplined, we are unhealthy, we eat bad, our children are going to pick up all of these habits. And then if you have bad habits, you will not have the right to speak up and check your children. They will not listen to you. Because you know what? Children like to have credibility in front of them. So if they see somebody credible, they will listen to that person. And which is why many times children will work better with teachers and counselors as compared to their own parents, because they see their parents having really crass behaviors. In fact, many parents today are just infants walking around in an adult's body. Their behaviors are that of a 5 or 10 or 15-year-old. They want instant gratification. They want all those preoccupations. They want constant reward for what they do. And all of these are behaviors that they have in their corporate or work life or business life. They're walking around as entitled beings. And when they walk around in that entitled sense, their children pick it up. So please beware of what you're doing. If you have bad behaviors, your children will pick it up. You really need to straighten up your act if you want to parent correctly. That's number one. Number two, is you need to really teach your children, spend time with them, teach them what is really values. What does it mean to respect? What does it mean to communicate well? What does it mean to groom correctly, dress correctly, wear things, or behave correctly, or speak nicely, or to do your work on time, or present yourself correctly and respectfully to teachers, to society. You have to help them understand, and again, you have to check them if they have bad behaviors. You cannot say my child spends too much time on the device. It's your problem. You are not giving them attention. You're not sending them to hobby classes. You have left them too much of free time, unattended time, for whatever excuses you have, and that's creating all of these challenges. Many times both parents working have put so much of load on their old parents to take care of their child in the name of having family support. The children are developing really bad habits in many cases. So that second area where you really need to invest time is very important. The third place, when your child has bad behaviors, you really need to check it. If your child is going to throw tantrums at the age of 5, 10, 15 and not be checked, this is the same child who will go out and break traffic rules, do overspeeding, get into accidents, get into drunken fights, and do all sorts of other nonsense. So check the child in time. It's very important. Disciplining is very important. You have all the levers, the facilities that you provide, the things that you do for the child. You have so many other things, and I'm not talking about you hitting or screaming at the child. No, that's not the way to discipline. Strictness can be brought in by grounding the child, by removing a lot of the facilities that they have been given, so that you really have an agreement. They behave well, they will get certain treatment. If they don't behave well, their facilities need to get cut off, and pressure needs to be put on them so that they straighten up. So checking errant behaviors is very important. But also do it consistently. It cannot be that one parent checks and the other doesn't. Both parents have to give consistent meaning of parenting. And in many cases, what happens, one of the parents or both of the parents have had very bad childhood or experience of their own parenting, or deficient parenting or excessive parenting, and they try to overcompensate. Many parents try to live their childhood and their desires, their unfulfilled desires, through the child, and then they are giving them excess stimulation, excess money, excess facilities, which the child doesn't even appreciate. Why? Because you think you did not get it, so your child has to get all of these things. And in many cases, the child doesn't even deserve. So ask yourself, before you're taking your child on a foreign vacation, has the child done anything to deserve that? Or is it that you want to go, so you're tagging the child along? Or has the child done anything to get that expensive gift, the iPads, the iPhones, the other gadgets, the headsets, special TVs in their room? So all the things that you're trying to splurge. Remember, throwing money at your child is not going to compensate for the parenting that you are not doing. In fact, throwing money and facilities at your child can many times actually spoil the child. It's a different thing if you're putting the child through a hobby class, if you're putting the child through a strict regime of sports training, of other skills or dance or vocations that you're teaching the child. That's a different area. You should definitely spend money on those things. But spending on electronic gadgets and other facilities which are not going to teach the child character really doesn't help. So, and the last but not the least, don't blame the world for your child's bad behavior. Don't blame the school, don't blame the teachers, don't blame the society, don't blame media. You have to create the right environment. The home is the crucible where the child's behaviors are fixed. So, hope for your own interest and the interest of your child and the interest of society, you are able to do this better. Be better parents, fix your own behavioral issues, teach your child the right values, the right things. Discipline your child when you need to discipline the child, and be consistent with that discipline. Both the parents need to do it. Your grandparents need to do it. Check the child when you really need to check it, and don't splurge and waste money on the child and give them unnecessarily stimulation if you're not able to parent them correctly. And lastly, don't blame the world. Your child's behavior is your responsibility. Take interest, fix it. Otherwise, at some point in time, you may or may not pay for their bad behavior, but others will pay for the bad behaviors of your children. Stop that. Correct this. Take your responsibility seriously.